tonight's big stories, the police revoked the gun license of an ex-cop who drew his gun on an unarmed cyclist in a road rage incident earlier this month. Lawyer Raymond Fortun is still looking to press charges.
The Olympic dreams of Gilas Pilipinas slowly fade away after yet another disappointing loss in the FIBA World Cup. Jordan Clarkson vows to soldier on for the fans.
And a Bulacan rice mill is shut down after lawmakers conducted a raid and discovered alleged hoarding. We'll be speaking to ACT-CIS party list representative Erwin Tulfo about this and about his goals as a first-time congressman.
Welcome to the show. I'm Gilas.
I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Sean Yao.
Our big story for tonight. This made rounds on social media, a video of a cop or a former cop caught drawing a gun on a cyclist in a fit of road rage near Welcome Rotonda in Quezon City. This incident actually took place over 2 weeks ago, but the footage of it went viral over the weekend. And let's take a look at that clip.
Ayan o, ayan o, o. Ayan. Ayan. Baril.
Nagkagit-gitan nga
This
yung
video,
cyclista at red car.
by the way, would have racked up millions of views by now, I'm thinking. Kasi
It has.
I was amazed at how fast it spread.
Alam mo naman pagka ganyan talagang to the defense ng mga tao, no? Lalo na dun sa vulnerable one,
Yeah.
which is yung cyclist at nakakagulat din naman. Pero
Kinasa niya yung baril eh. For me, yun yung part na kahit yung video taker, doon na siya Ay, may baril!
Yeah,
Actually,
exactly.
exactly
And he
my
drove
thought.
away. Yeah.
that's true, and it's the cyclist was lucky actually that there was a video of it, right?
Actually.
Taken, so we
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's a good
be
point.
judging it over just the
Right.
photo. But actually, ang hindi nakita dun sa video, yung siklista pala, sabi ng mga witnesses, was actually riding on the bicycle lane.
Exactly.
And the red car was the one that went into the bike lane. Kasi palabas siya.
So the cyclist was trying to avoid the car.
Yes.
Which we could
umiiwas
see.
siya.
Nagulat siya kasi pag ganun yung kotse, tapos parang umiiwasan na siya, pero nasagi niya ng konti.
Kita naman natin, no, doon sa start ng video, di ba, na nasa kanan yung kotse. Pag start ng video, nasa kanan yung car at nasa kaliwang side yung bicycle. Dapat magkabaliktad yun kasi yung rightmost side, yun yung bike lane. Diba? May mga allegations pa nga itong cop na di daw natin alam yung nagyari before this video started rolling.
But it's good, it's clear to us,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
That's a great point. Like, lucky there was video footage talaga. So, of course, Gretch, the cycling community made a lot of noise online, right? Over the weekend, asking for help to identify this man. What do we know by now?
Well, the driver has been identified as Wilfredo Gonzalez, and as he mentioned, he is a retired or a dismissed cop. He surrendered himself to authorities at the Quezon City Police District hours after a lawyer and also an avid cyclist himself, attorney Raymond Fortun, shared the video of the incident. Gonzalez says he and the cyclist who has not been identified agreed to settle the case on the same day that the altercation happened. That was on August 8th. But Gonzalez continued to defend his actions, saying the video did not show the entire picture.
Wala pong katotohanan po yun. Ang katotohanan po nun, ako pa po ang nagpatawag ng mobile dahil gusto niya rin umiska po ulit. Mahaba pong habulan yun eh.
The former cop also has a message to vloggers who helped spread the video to call for justice for the cyclist.
Sana yung mga vloggers, sana maging responsable sila. Hindi nila alam ang punot dulo. Marami kaagad magko-comment. Kawawa naman yung mga anak ko. Kawawa yung mga kapamilya ko. Parang ang sama-sama kong tao.
Siyempre, may kabilang panig ang storya, no? Let's hear the other side of that story. According to Attorney Fortun, who spoke with the cyclist, Gonzalez intimidated the cyclist and the vlogger who took the video. The lawyer says that the cyclist was pressured to sign the agreement and that Gonzalez dented his own car to blame it on the cyclist.
Pinersa siya na pumirma ng isang kasunduan umano na siya daw ang may kasalanan at siya dapat ang magbayad ng 500 pesos. When wala naman talagang ginagawang masama itong siklista na to, this is a clear and brazen, unadulterated abuse of power by somebody who appears to be no, in a position of strength.
Now, in response to that road rage incident, the PNP has revoked the ex-cop's gun license. He is now prohibited from owning and carrying any firearm, and Gonzales could also face administrative charges.
Now, for those asking, bakit hindi criminal charges? Well, according to Attorney Fortune, both the cyclist and the one who took the video declined to pursue any case against Gonzales out of fear.
Under our laws, no, kinakailangan merong testigo. Yung testigo dito, dadalawa lang talaga yan eh. Yung siklista at saka yung nag-video, yung vlogger. Eh pareho po, tinakot na ng mga pulis eh.
But Attorney Fortune will continue to pursue administrative charges against Gonzales, and these include a complaint with the Land Transportation Office for the suspension or revocation of the driver's license of Gonzales for driving in a reckless manner that threatened the life of the cyclist. Second, a complaint with the Firearms and License Office at Camp Crame for the revocation of any and all gun licenses issued to Gonzales, which has already been revoked. And third, a complaint for conduct unbecoming of a public official under RA 6713 if Gonzales is still connected with the government in any manner.
So sabi nga kasi nung mga tao online, no, meron na silang napansin na pin doon sa kwelyo nung lapel ni Willie
Looks like a
Gonzales.
government employee. It turns
Yes.
out it was a cop pala.
It turns out, actually, according to Attorney Fortune, meron daw siyang mga tip. Now, I don't know if this is correct, but again, this is according to Attorney Fortune. He has received tips that this guy is still connected or working in the judiciary this
You're gonna
time
have to
around.
check back in with Attorney Fortune to see if that is the case. Moving on now to other news, over 700 families fled their homes and are now staying in evacuation centers in Cagayan following the onslaught of Typhoon Goring. Though Goring did not directly hit Cagayan, it still brought flood-inducing rainfall to the province that's still reeling from the impact of Typhoon Falcon. Both houses and farmlands were affected by heavy floods. Residents of Barangay Cabuluan were forcibly evacuated after cracks were spotted on the ground near a small water impounding project in the area. The Mines and Geosciences Bureau says it's no longer safe for residents to stay in their homes, citing a possible collapse.
Integrity niya po ay na-compromise na. Ito pong creek ma-overwhelm niya. So, most likely flash flood po saka mag-spread towards sa residential.
Okay, kamustahin muna natin ang lagay ng panahon sa Cagayan. Let's bring in Jenny Dongon. She will be reporting to us from the province. Jenny, hi! Kamusta na ang Cagayan at ang mga evacuees dyan? At paano nga pala ang mga estudyante nagagamit ng mga classrooms ngayong magpapasukan na bukas?
Sean, Cagayan is still experiencing intermittent heavy rainfall this evening. We can see floods rising even after a few minutes of rains. Aside from houses, farmlands are also submerged in floods. This is a heavy burden for farmers, considering that harvest season is coming and many of them just begun planting their crops after the onslaught of Typhoon Falcon. Over 2,000 individuals are still currently staying at the evacuation center. As for students who will be coming to school, they will be using their classrooms, and for evacuees, they will be using the school's covered court or the covered court of their barangays. Sean.
Thank you for that update and do stay safe out there. News 5's Jenny Dongon.
The Bureau of Customs has temporarily padlocked a few warehouses in Bulacan found storing 505 million pesos worth of imported rice. Former Social Welfare Secretary and now ACT CIS representative Erwin Tulfo joined that raid, and he is now actually here in the studio with us to talk about it. Good evening, Congressman Erwin.
Hi,
Bit of a homecoming for you, huh?
It is a little bit of a
What does
homecoming.
it feel like for you, first of all?
Well, kind of like sad and a little bit happy though.
Do you miss this kind of work? Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Parang he prefers being in Congress.
You enjoy being a lawmaker more,
A
or being in
little bit.
government
I mean,
more,
you can
rather.
do a lot of things though. You can do a lot of things. You can help more. I mean, like us in the media, if somebody would come to us and would ask for help, so we have to call somebody. We have to, like us, what we did before at T3, we have to hit that government agency. But now, if you're in Congress, you just have to call that government official and say, like, come here.
So it's
What's
easier.
wrong? It's easier, yeah.
They actually answer your
because,
call.
Because of the power, yeah. That's true.
Okay, let's get to the story that I was just reading about the raids on the Bulacan rice warehouses.
Right.
You were there. You joined that trip. What did you find?
Well, there's a lot of, earlier they were saying that there's a rice shortage, right? But seeing those 3 warehouses with like around 200,000 sacks of rice, so, and then there are other small warehouses full of sacks of rice. So what does it tell you? There's no shortage. I mean, nakatago lang pala.
Teka lang, Congressman Tulfo. Why were you there? It was led by House Speaker Martin Romualdez, right? What was your involvement there?
I'm the Deputy Majority Leader for Communications, so we're in charge of information dissemination to the public. So that's what we're heading right now. That's what Congress, the Speaker wants us to do, to disseminate information, to tell the public what's really going on and what Congress is doing for them. So I was part of the team and was part of planning that. It's not actually a raid, it was an inspection basing on the tip that the Bureau of Customs gave us na, Mr. Speaker, there's a lot of rice, there's no rice shortage. Earlier today, or a day before, there was a hearing on the Committee on Agriculture, and they were talking about the rice shortage and all. But the Bureau of Customs, they were saying like, no, there's no shortage. Actually, there's a lot of rice, imported rice in warehouses in Bulacan. So that's when we went to inspect the following day.
But there's no proof at the moment that these were illegally imported, right?
They were
could just
given-
be sitting there.
They were given 2 weeks, I think, until next week, to come up with the importation documentations. Otherwise, if they can't come up with those rice will be confiscated by the government.
Is it usual for congressmen to go on raids? Because normally we see mga
Inspections daw.
inspections or inspections, so to speak. We usually see the Customs Bureau or the NFA, but congressmen and the House Speaker, not so usual.
Well, the problem is the House right now is helping the executive department. Alam mo naman na malapit si Speaker kay Pangulo. So we're just trying to help. And then we have information. Diba, we're conducting hearings right now. First, it was the onions a couple of weeks ago because it was too high. We kind of brought the prices down when the Speaker went around in NEPA-Q Mart and in Commonwealth Market. So what we noticed, like the prices went down when he went around. So same things with this rice. There was a committee hearing the day before just to prove that there's no rice shortage. The price is going up, it's artificial. So ayun nga, napatunayan namin na punong-puno yung mga bodega. So there were people who were just hoarding this rice.
Ano pang nakita nyo apart from rice? Was there anything else? Kasi Erwin, naaalala ko very distinctly, nung una ko nalaman na may mga ganyan palang onion cartel, magkasama pa tayo sa morning show. And I remember you were reading the item and you were really upset about that. Have things changed? That was a good maybe 12 years ago when I first found out na may mga ganyang cartel para. And it's the same names that keep cropping up time and time again. Now that you're in the Congress, you're with Congress, have you noticed any progress in that department?
Actually, we're trying to do something about it. This administration, gusto ni Presidente, ni Speaker, na tuldukan yung about this onion cartel. So what we're planning, once these onions are already out of the hands of the farmers, kasi the farmers are complaining, don't do that, don't do importation, because the solution is importation. But once it's already out of the hands of the farmers, di ba, naibenta na nila sa traders, so wala na sa kanila yun. So then, the government, through DA, can import onions. Then pag nag-import siya, kasi mas murang onions sa overseas, babagsak yung presyo, okay? Nahawak ng mga traders. Actually, it's the traders that dictating the prices, even on the rice. Eh kagaya ngayon, unfortunately, we cannot import rice right now because mag-aanihan na sa harvest season next month, September. So pag nag-import pa tayo, one month bago dumating, sasabay doon sa harvest ng mga farmers. So we can't do that. We have to wait until it's out of the hands of our farmers.
Apart from agriculture, you filed 3 resolutions already looking into the disappearance of an inmate in the New Bilibid Prison. Meron
Yeah.
din po sa Manila Bay Reclamation,
Right.
tsaka Expanded Solo Parents Act. As a congressman, what would you be focusing on? I mean, we know that you're carrying the Tulfo brand. Kaya sabi nyo, on-ground, hands-on kayo bilang DSW Secretary noon. Dito naman sa Kongreso, ano po yung tututukan po ninyo?
Well, still helping those the underprivileged, the marginalized. I guess it was a blessing in disguise that I was
bypassed.
appointed. No, I was appointed in DSWD, but was bypassed. Kasi I saw in that 6-month window or time with DSWD, I saw a lot of problems like. The senior citizens, like the solo parents. The solo parents nga, I was getting out na when that law was enacted, the Solo Parent Act. Unfortunately, hanggang ngayon, single moms, they don't get this 1,000 peso allowance every month. And then the 10% discount if they have kids like 6 years and below.
Bakit po hindi nakakarating?
Kasi wala raw budget. Kaya nga, I want it reviewed. Why did we, how and where did we come up with this idea of 1,000 na babayaran sila ng mga LGU? The problem is 5th and 6th class municipalities, they can't afford. They're saying we don't have the money to pay solo parents at our residents, our constituents. We don't have that money. Pero my next question is, what about the 10% discount ng food and medicines if they have kids 6 years old or below? Still hindi rin nabibigay. So we really have to review this law. Ano ba talaga? Who's going to shoulder this? Pwede bang PAGCOR will help out or PCSO will help out? Doon na sa mga 5th and 6th class municipalities yung hindi kayang magbigay ng 1,000 peso allowance. And then, Friday or Thursday, we filed a bill para sa PWDs and then senior citizens requiring private corporations and government agencies at least 1% of their workforce to hire PWDs and senior citizens para to give them a chance. Kasi right now, pag PWD ka, hindi ka parang pag nakita ka lang na may diferensya, walking or talking.
Tsaka yung sa senior citizen po, no?
Exactly, the age. So,
Ano naman po yung sa senior citizen employment? Sabi po nila, it might affect productivity, but what are you looking to provide in terms of opportunity?
I'm sure all of us have been to Hong Kong or other countries, but we see the senior citizens doing menial jobs, right? That the younger ones are trying to shy away, like cleaning the tables, opening the doors, give out flyers. Same thing here. Okay? I mean, here na probably working sa mga fast food, cleaning out trays. We can put our senior citizens there who are willing and able to still do that job.
Okay, balikan lang natin, sorry.
Disappointed were you when you got bypassed by the Commission on Appointments?
I wasn't.
Kasi it sounds like that really was your advocacy.
I wasn't.
Social welfare.
I left it all to God. I mean, probably there's another calling, and I believe it was a blessing in disguise. Now, I was put there for 6 months to see the problems of our society. I mean, senior citizens, solo parents, and then yung mga street children. But I think I left that department in good hands under Secretary Rex Gatchalian.
How was that turnover from you to Secretary Gatchalian? Of course, very different backgrounds, very different approaches between the two of you. Naging smooth naman yung turnover. Did you guys see eye to eye on a lot of things?
Yeah. Well,
Ano po binilin nyo?
Wala naman. I don't have to because he's doing great in Valenzuela. So he's already doing yung mga trabaho na tulungan yung mga kababayan niya, senior citizens, and solo parents. He's been doing it
Yung
already.
sa listahan po, naalala ko, nililinis nyo kasi yun eh. Ano
Four
pong
piece,
mga
four piece.
Yung beneficiaries
mga
list.
realizations
Yeah.
nyo
Four
doon?
piece. It's kind of hard to do that because we had a survey and then, but this was before the pandemic. According to our survey, it says like, at least 1.5 million of our four-piece beneficiaries, they can already
Nakaangat na sa
yeah,
buhay.
they have
Graduate
already
from the program.
yeah, there you go, the right word, graduate, because they don't have kids anymore, na going to school, and then medyo may trabaho na. Unfortunately, we saw na that was before pandemic. And nagka-pandemic, di ba maraming humirap. A lot of people didn't have work, lost their job, or their businesses shut down. So, ibig sabihin, balik ulit sila sa dati. So kaya nga, we stepped back, we said like, oops, and I even told the president, sir, hindi po pwede kasi maraming kawawa eh, may mga bumalik ulit. True enough, so I had a second review again during my term, and I found out from that 1.5, kalahati sa balik ulit sa mahirap. So parang 700 na lang ang natitira. And I think Secretary Gatchalian is doing another survey to make sure na yan
It's
talagang
clean,
tama yung
pulido.
graduate. Exactly.
Speaking of making sure, we know that you've encountered challenges with your appointment with the CA, specifically because of your citizenship and also libel.
libel convictions.
Is that already resolved?
It was already resolved. There was already a decision by the COMELEC, hindi lang nga na-highlight. Na-highlight was like, it's not in their jurisdiction anymore because I'm in the party list, but there was a good explanation of Commissioner Casquejo, who was the ponente, and there was an explanation about the citizenship because I've already submitted all the documents. And then there's a Supreme Court ruling after 5 years. Yung moral turpitude na nawawala yon after you have served your sentence and all. And then, pag wala naman nakalagay na you are banned from government service, then you're good to go. There was an explanation by that in that ruling. Unfortunately, hindi nga lang na-highlight. What was highlighted was like yung tungkol sa its party list, so it's not in our jurisdiction anymore.
Congressman Erwin, we all know that nung nagkagulo ka sa CA, sa Commission on Appointments, PBBM really wanted to keep you in his cabinet. Were you offered any other post? What led to the decision-making process na biglang, sige, na you eventually pursued Congress na lang?
Well, I was offered by our group, the AXIS party list, and they were saying like, come join us na lang and you can help us out. And I saw naman that I can do more by legislating laws. And then so when I joined Congress, Speaker Romualdez welcomed me and said like, yeah, we can use you here in Congress like through information dissemination, which fortunately, doon patutungo ngayon ang
Sorry,
Congress.
Congressman Tulfo, I have to interrupt you. I think you're used to this, no? Kasi we have to go to
Okay.
we have to catch another interview right this very minute.
Sure.
We're going to continue our chat with Congressman Erwin Tulfo a little bit later, but up next, Gilas Pilipinas remains winless in the FIBA World Cup, suffering its second straight loss at the hands of Angola on Sunday. What are our chances of reaching that Olympic berth at this point? We'll ask sports analyst Charles Tu when we return. Stay with us.
watching the big story here on One News. Another heartbreak for the Philippines in the ongoing FIBA World Cup as Gilas Pilipinas loses its biggest chance to clinch a win in the group stage after bowing to Angola 80-70. Gilas started the game strong and looked poised to take control of the match. Early in the second quarter, they led by as much as 11 points. But the Angolans would go on a 19-5 scoring spree to grab the three-point advantage heading into halftime. Gilas never found their rhythm from there and would then fall behind by as many as 16 points by the fourth quarter. Filipino fans came alive when Jordan Clarkson, Renz Abando, and Kai Soto suddenly mounted a spirited comeback, putting them to within just 5 points of the Angolans 68-73. But as we know by now, it wasn't enough. Gilas is now 0-2 in Group A and faces an uphill battle tomorrow when they face Italy in a final bid to qualify for the 2024 Olympics.
No matter how flickering that hope is, that hope is still alive. So we still have to keep our heads up and find a way to play our best on the next game. The quotient will take care of itself. But for us, like I said, we focus on what we need to do to be able to compete against a top 10 team in the world.
We're just going to keep fighting. You know, they ain't here supporting us every night, every day. So we're going to keep fighting for y'all and, you know, keep playing, competing. You know, we trying to get it together and, you know, we trying to get wins for y'all.
Tough conversation to have, but we must talk about it. Joining us tonight is sports commentator Charles Tu, coming to us live from the Mall of Asia Arena. Good evening, Charles. Welcome to the big story.
So, good evening. It's my honor to be on the show. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you've been there the whole weekend. Have you even gone home yet?
No, actually, I'm enjoying all the games, and basketball is life.
Fair enough, fair enough. Charles, obviously, Gilas fans not been happy with the results. That's a bit of an understatement. What do you think went wrong here?
Well, I think one of the keys that one of the categories we've been struggling at is rebounding the ball. That's number one. You know, we gave up 20 offensive rebounds both our games. We've also really struggled taking care of the ball. We've had a lot of turnovers, 15 and 19, and we're not going to win games when we turn the ball over that much or when we give the opposing team that many extra possessions. They can't take more than 10 shots over us for a team like us. So those were some of at least the numbers that really stood out to me. And, you know, we could have hit outside shots against Angola, and that was a difference maker in that game.
Come on, Charles. We played so bad. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep last night. Now, tell us, is it just a lack of preparation? Dahil 2 weeks lang talaga nabuo tong team na to? Or what do you think is wrong at this point? I mean, this is the World Cup. We're here. There's no more next game. There's no more next league. We do have one more game, but you know what I mean.
Well, we do have one more game and 2 more after that to try and make the Olympics, right? But we are going to need some of the other Asian teams to lose for us to have a chance. And they've had some upsets already, like Japan winning against Finland. So that's going to hurt our cause. But going back to your question, we can't keep using lack of preparation as an excuse. In fact, we've been together more than any of these other national teams. I was just with the Greek coach last night, and he was telling me they only had 20 practices together as a team before the tournament. We've been at it since May. I know Clarkson came late, and obviously that's a big factor because he's a big part of our team. Kai also barely practiced with our team, but we can't keep using that as an excuse. Or we've got to find a better way to get everybody in sync, I guess.
All right, I just saw Paolo Del Rosario right behind you. It distracted me for a bit from my optimism. I'd like to think that I always look on the bright side here. Charles, there were some good things, okay, that people did notice from our relatively new and young team. Any bright spots that you noticed so far and worth mentioning?
Well, I really like the way Junmar Fajardo's been playing. He's shown that he's still our best big man in the Philippines, and you know he's really improved. He's in great shape. I thought AJ Edu also has been a really good presence, defensively rebounding. He played well yesterday. And then in spurts, Kiefer's played well. Dwight Ramos has played well. CJ Perez played well yesterday. So you have a couple of individuals playing well, but obviously we're just not, we just can't get everything to click at the same time for us. And again, when you play against teams that are bigger, you've got to work harder than them. And I can't exactly say that we've outworked any of our opponents in the last 2 games that we played.
Actually, I've been looking for, as you mentioned, there are players who have played well. We've seen signs of optimism here and there, but I've been looking for that Gilas Puso, like a Jimmy Alapag or a Mark Pingris, and I haven't been able to see that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we have that one alpha who can kind of just police everybody, get everybody to follow orders, and that's something that's been lacking. I can see Kiefer perhaps trying to bark instructions from the bench, but sometimes it's hard when you're not playing as much to really lead the team. So yeah, you're right there, Gretchen. We don't have I can't say we don't have a leader. I see guys really trying, making an effort, but you can't. It's different. Sometimes that it just happens, and we need somebody to kind of pull everybody together and be solid and dig deep. And it's missing because we've had great chances in both these games. I know everybody's been taking shots at the coaching staff, but I also give them some credit in a sense that they put us in certain positions to win games. But at the end of the day, we're just falling short. We haven't been playing well enough. You can make a case for also being out-coached. So it's a collective effort from everybody involved, and that's the reason why we're struggling.
I have to say, AJ Edu was a revelation, though.
Yeah, that's true.
In game one, especially.
Yes. Defending Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of coaching system, Charles, one of the criticisms we've heard is that this coaching system is not is a bit old school. Wasn't made for high stakes, high level international play of today. You've been covering for many days now. What are you hearing on the ground? What are people saying?
Well, I see it. I see the tweets. I see the fans all making their comments. But it's hard. Obviously, we are very reliant on Jordan Clarkson. But let's face it, he also is our best player. And my only counter to that is you look at teams like Slovenia. All they do is give Luka Doncic the ball, and he makes plays for everybody. It's pretty much the same, right? But obviously, they're winning. Winning changes everything. But when I compare, though, to a team like Japan, and I've been watching Japan or keeping an eye on them for a while in Asia, the way they play, it's so fast-paced. They have guys hitting outside shots, all these 3 balls, and when we can't buy a bucket. And that's the game right now. If we're not going to be the biggest team, at least our outside shooting has to be on point. We have to play fast, and we're not able to do those. I thought like Angola, their guards aren't big. We can't keep using, their wings, their bigs were big. And that's why entering this tournament, my biggest concern were our big men, how they'd handle the big men of the other teams. And both games, their bigs, you could say, outplayed our bigs. But the guards that hurt us yesterday, one guard was like 5'6", 5'7". They were pressuring the ball like crazy, but we weren't able to execute or impose our will offensively. And that's really what hurt us. I thought they took us out of the game with their defense.
Well, we are going up against Italy. They
tomorrow.
are number 10 in the world, higher ranked than Dominican Republic and Angola.
And we must beat them by 13 points.
Yeah.
But the dream is still alive. We're going to keep fighting, right?
Thank you so much for your time tonight. We know you're busy and in between games. Sports analyst Charles Tew. After this break, we will be continuing our chat with ACT-CIS party list Congressman Erwin Tulfo. He's still here. This would be about his plunge into government and a lot more of his plans. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back. You're still watching Big Story here on One News.
And we're back with Congressman Erwin Tulfo, picking off that conversation since we know that the Tulfos are very straightforward when it comes to giving out their opinion. Did you watch the game yesterday?
Oh,
Your
yeah,
thoughts
I did.
on why we lost?
Well,
Possible solutions?
we'll just sound off what the netizens are saying.
Do you agree with what the netizens are saying?
I think so.
What are the netizens saying?
The netizens are saying replace the coach. I'm sorry, but that's what I'm saying. Why are you laughing?
Bakit? Bakit?
Well, yun ang sabi nila because we haven't been winning. I mean, magagaling daw yung mga players. Nabasa ko. I had this, this is our topic in my radio program kanina, over there at the government radio station.
Yes.
And the comments like, no, you have to replace the coach. You have to replace the coach. May magagaling, nandiyan si Jordan Clarkson, NBA player din. They were saying, no, Mr. Tulfo, we have to replace the coach. May mga malalaki din tayo, magkakasinlaki na yung Dominican Republic and the Philippines. So, hindi na pwede sabihin na maliliit tayo, etc., etc.
They're still a bit taller than our players naman.
A bit heftier.
Dati kasi
Oh, more
sinabi,
athletic.
lagi tayong dehado sa height.
Exactly.
Pero this time, medyo pare-pareho na.
Exactly.
Problema,
That's
wala
what
naman
they're
tayo
saying.
yung maliit na
That's what the
reliable.
netizens are saying, pero I don't know. So, I'm just sounding off.
You're just repeating the comments from your live
And then
stream.
the sports analyst also, I interviewed a sports analyst and they said like, I think it's really time to change the coach.
But every game naman sinasabi, nagtitrending talaga si Coach Chot din.
Sanay na si Coach
Pag,
Chot
pag
dyan.
nanatalo lang, pero pag nanalo, wala namang sinasabi ng mga tao.
Bakit? You think that's a uniquely Pinoy, parang kumbaga, ugali ba natin yan? Na magko-complain tayo kung hindi maganda, pero kung maganda, hindi rin
And
natin
then-
bibigyan ng praise.
And then, yeah, we'll be facing Italy tomorrow. Ano pa ang chance noon? And then we have to win by 13 points. May nagsabi nga, sana maligaw daw yung bus ng Italy para mag-default. But then, sabi ko naman, kailangan 13 points.
Teka,
Hindi default.
May nagsasabi malas yung stripes ni Coach Chot. Apat daw.
Apat
na
daw.
stripes.
Sabi ko 8 yun
Number of
kasi
deaths.
meron din sa pants.
Ay,
So
ganun
4 plus
pala.
4 is 8. Swerte na yun.
What is that? A feng shui
Baliktad
thing?
naman, no?
Feng
Pagka
shui thing.
nanalo. Naging 8 naman.
Okay, let's go back to the serious topics now. So, ACT CIS ka na ngayon. ACT CIS actually stands for
Anti-crime and terrorism.
Anti-Crime and Terrorism Community Involvement and Support. It's very long. What does that mean? What are you doing about terrorism?
Well, we will be, within the next couple of days, we'll be filing some laws pertaining to the enemies of the state, and we're formulating it right now. Me and my legal team, we will be submitting it, and then we will be interviewing intelligence officers and the AFP and the PNP before we submit
Who are
it to
enemies
us.
of the state?
Well, those in the mountains, those in the jihadists, all right, the extremists in Mindanao.
How
we still
bad
have those.
is the problem?
It's not really bad, pero yung nakapasok sila through the back door, that's what we're saying.
And what is
we
this?
have to strictly enforce that and watch our back door.
Right. So this bill that you're is to address that problem. Pero can you give us an idea, kahit hindi specifics, kung ano yung magiging itsura ng law and how you propose to handle these jihadists and terrorists?
Probably more on the intelligence aspect, watching our back door, and then monitoring these extremists in the southern Philippines because they're out there. They're still out there in the mountains.
Congressman Erwin, kagagaling ko lang kasi ng Basilan eh. Tapos ang lagay doon, medyo mas okay na because of the development
Right,
also
right.
and how they've handled the problem with terrorism. Would you say, like, speaking of terrorism, would you say that the amount of funds, confidential funds that are allocated towards that, for example, in the DepEd, is merited by how big the problem is right now? I mean, kasi marami rin nagsasabi doon na dahil sa past administration, medyo humupa na yung problema na yun. So, right now, is it merited for that?
Well, we
have a
haven't
huge
looked
budget.
into that yet. What we're focusing right now is yung monitoring these groups kasi they move from one place to another. And then they try to hide or associate themselves to one group. And then this one group would say like, no, we're okay here. We have peace talks with the government. And then they move to another group. They move to another place. So they keep on just
So
running
mahirap
around.
habulan. May habulan
Of course. So that's what we're trying to do. A law that we're trying to pass na probably tighter intelligence, information, and then contain them in one area. Because it's really hard. Mindanao is a big area. It's
Okay.
easy to say na madaling to crush them, etc.
Let's look into the House, the lower house. Recently, of course, we know that you just joined the House of Representatives, but recently you called one of your own a terrorist, or the government. The Anti-Terror Council has labeled Congressman Arnie Teves, which led to him being expelled. Your thoughts on that?
Well, actually, the highlight, as what the speaker said, that was from the Anti-Terrorism Council, yung labeled Congressman Teves. Pero Congress was more concerned on the fact that he was asked to come back and then he doesn't want to come home anymore. Tapos applying for asylum in another country. How can you do your job when you're staying there and then asylum, so you don't want to do your job anymore? And yet, what he wants is like, gusto niyang manatili siya na congressman, a lawmaker. That's why he was kicked out of Congress.
You
once and
voted
for all.
yes to expel him?
Everybody. Everybody voted. Even his colleagues voted. Even his party voted him out of Congress.
But there aren't charges yet filed against him. Won't this set a precedent? I mean, to be used against
There's
other
now. I mean, DOJ already filed charges, I think a couple of days ago, for Congressman Teves, or against Congressman Teves.
Okay. And is this a bill on terrorism that you guys are crafting in the lower house? Does this also include external, quote-unquote, terrorist factors? I'm talking about allegations of Chinese espionage. Of course, you know this, si Senator Raffy is always talking about the NGCP and how we are vulnerable. Then there's now the reclamation issue na may Chinese company, because the U.S. Embassy has already alerted that one of the companies there is blacklisted doing reclamation work in the Manila Bay. Do you concern yourself with these topics?
Yeah, I filed a resolution in aid of legislation to immediately stop the Manila Bay reclamation. I think it's a couple of days before the president ordered the suspension of the reclamation. Because on the grounds of national security, what I said was like, because we got information, the Office of the Speaker got information na there are the crews of these Chinese vessels doing the reclamation project. Bumababa sila sa gabi, they party in Ross Boulevard, they go to MOA.
What's wrong with that? They're helping
Bawal
the
ba
economy.
They're supposed to stay in their boats, on their ship.
Is that
because
is there a rule?
So they're
They
not,
don't have a working
they're actually
visa.
not supposed
No,
to
they're
dock.
not. And how would we know that they're just partying? Okay lang kung mag-party, sige, we'll close our eyes. Pero what if they're just gathering information na? Information on our vital installations, diba? And then sending it there.
These are
the crews of
the
the
crews working on the dredging
course.
in the reclamation
And
project.
did you know that there are 80 ships right now in Manila Bay? 80.
So
of
you
them,
did
they're
get
all
this
Chinese.
information even before PBBMs. PBBM issued the stop for all reclamation projects.
I think the president stopped the reclamation upon the recommendation naman of the DNR, yung tungkol sa environment. That was the issue.
the coral reefs being destroyed.
And then plus the fact na a lot of clamoring already, like the labor groups, they're saying maraming madi-displaced, and then Pamalakaya also said like a lot of fishermen lost their jobs, so I mean their livelihood. So the president was forced to conduct an investigation, so suspended the project. So kami naman sa House, we're just waiting, pero we will also look into it kasi bills or resolutions have been filed by the Makabayan Bloc on the same issue about environmental issue and labor issues.
And again, what you want to do is conduct the hearing in aid of legislation.
Exactly, exactly. And then that's what we're doing right now. Actually, our hands are full under the leadership of Speaker Romualdez. Kagaya nga kasi we have yung mga prices, it keeps on going up, the onions and the rice, and ongoing yung mga investigation namin. I believe next week we'll be calling the Department of Agriculture officials to explain what happened, why Congress pa nakakita na may mga oversupply or stock ng rice, not them. it should be them because they have visitation powers also.
And just very briefly, I wonder if you've had a chat with President Marcos about appointing a permanent DA secretary. Kasi
No,
that's-
I haven't.
Baka
I haven't done
that
that.
could be
Oh,
one of the
a good
issues.
idea, yeah, but I haven't talked to him and I haven't seen him for quite a while, so.
Do you plan to craft any law or advocate for press freedom? I mean, those who are getting tagged as terrorists also for voicing out. You were a broadcast journalist and now you're in Congress. Anything along that line?
There's a Magna Carta right now. I believe it's in the Senate, pero I have to add some more to it, like that, what you're saying, because I have media friends, reporters, our friends. They're saying like, right now, if you cover drug raids, you have to be a witness. And they don't like that because it's dangerous. They said like, markahan ho kami kung mga drug lords na, aha, Sonia, ikaw yung nag-cover ha. Alam namin yung bahay mo. Gretchen ha, we know where you live. So you're marked already. That's what the media said, like, we're just covering, leave us alone. But then, according to the law, it says that media will have to be a witness because kasama ka doon eh. The media should not be part of that, they were saying, but which I believe should be.
We
The
definitely
media
agree.
should not be part of whatever government operations. We're just, we're witness, pero not the witness in the court.
Yeah, we're just there
And say
to
like,
report
yeah,
it.
he owns the drugs.
Yeah, exactly. We're definitely behind
So
you on this.
we're gonna work on it probably next month for the safety of our media friends, our colleagues.
That's
Well,
very
thank
good
you
to
for
hear.
that in advance.
And thank you for joining us tonight. We know you're a very busy man. We're going to let you go. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. AXIA
Welcome
S
back
Party
to
List Representative Erwin Tulfo.
After this break, just barely a week after the resupply mission to the BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal, the AFP confirms that one of its ships was being shadowed by a Chinese vessel en route to Pagasa Island. The details when we return. Keep it here.
Welcome back. You are still watching the big story here on One News.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines has confirmed that a Chinese vessel shadowed BRP Laguna on a resupply mission in the West Philippine Sea. The Philippine ship was shadowed by Chinese warship 630 during its resupply mission to Pag-asa Island in the Kalayaan group of islands near Palawan. This latest action comes on the heels of a successful resupply mission to BRP Sierra Madre at Ayungin Shoal. AFP Chief Lieutenant General Romeo Browner Jr. meanwhile said that they will continue with their rotation and resupply missions in the area.
Tuloy-tuloy kasi karapatan natin yon, no? It is our right, it is our obligation to bring supplies to our soldiers who are posted sa mga isla natin at sa mga iba't ibang mga features that we are occupying.
Today is August 28, Monday, and it is our National Heroes Day. In case you're wondering, bakit walang pasok today? President Bongbong Marcos led the commemoration at Dalibingan ng mga bayani. The president offered flowers at the tomb of the unknown soldiers and called on the public to honor both old and modern-day heroes. The president also took it as a chance to pay tribute to the late Migrant Worker Secretary Toots Ople.
It can be said that most heroes are ordinary men and women, but which faced with the challenges of life, it is them who rise up and we show us the act of heroism that is extraordinary. We must mention a dear and departed friend who we can only describe as well as a hero, and that is our good friend who we just lost, Secretary Toots Ople. And she is a perfect example of what true heroism can be.
Vice President Sara Duterte led celebrations in Lapu-Lapu City. She said, "We should let the sacrifice of heroes guide us as we raise a new generation of fearless and selfless Filipinos that are united by love of country."
Candidates running in this year's barangay and SK elections have started filing their candidacies. Aspiring local officials filed their candidacies at COC registration sites and satellite mall venues. The filing of COCs will run until September 2, while a gun ban takes effect today until November 29. Around 130 police checkpoints have been set up to ensure order during this local election period.
We are going to end the show on a rather somber note with our big picture tonight. This is President Bongbong Marcos bidding his final goodbyes to his Migrant Worker Secretary Toots Ople. Marcos delivered an emotional eulogy in the necrological service held by the palace today for the late secretary. In his eulogy, Marcos praised Ople's dedication in championing the rights of overseas Filipino workers. He commended Ople's quick response for distressed OFWs in need of repatriation from countries like Kuwait or Riyadh. The president turned even more emotional while saying that Ople's brand of leadership can never be replaced. Let's hear it straight from the president.
Sana maunawaan ninyo kung tumulo ang luha ko dahil napakalaking nawala sa atin. And if I do shed a tear, it is because it is such a sad day to know. It is such a sad bit of knowledge to know that Toots will not be here anymore. And what a big gap she will leave.
Misa this Sunday kay Father Jerry Orbos, nabanggit niya na kinonsulta siya ni former Secretary Toots Ople, late Secretary Toots Ople, na parang may cancer na pala siya kasi nung in-offer sa kanya yung posisyon.
Kaya nga siya nag-aalanganin
to think about it.
And then parang she decided, instead of living a more comfortable life, she decided to serve. So I think that's worth commending.
Sobrang nakakaiyak talaga yung nasasenti ako doon na nakikita ko si President Marcos really like mourning the loss of a secretary and of course a good friend. It's really a big loss to our nation, and of course our prayers go out to the Ople family. And that's it for the show tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.